Hey, just a heads up, I kind of ramble in this intro, so you can skip to the time code on screen if you want to get past that and get into the video. So, yeah, you've been warned. Hello everyone, I got my new camera. As you can see, that's another reason for the hiatus. I was trying to set this thing up. It was kind of a pain. Kind of a little bit of a pain, but yes, I finally got it set up, which is beautiful. I love the quality of it. It's great. I think it's better than my iPhone. It better be. Okay. So anyway, today we're actually doing a ReZero video. I know, it's crazy. I haven't done one in so long, but yeah, we're doing a ReZero vid. Today I wanted to do sort of a kind of like a Tekkings videos, like a geography is everything video, but on the Sanctuary. I was initially gonna do a Lugnica explain video, but I haven't read the novels, and I don't think I want to do that and spoil myself. I want to wait till season 3 to do anything regarding the novels because, well, 1, it'll probably get more views, and 2, I just want to stick anime only because the anime is just so damn phenomenal. Honestly, after season 3, it might even take my spot as take Gintama's spot as number 1. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, today we're checking out the Sanctuary, as I mentioned. So the Sanctuary, where do I even begin? The Sanctuary of Kremaldy, also known as the Witch of Greed's Graveyard, often shortened to simply the Witch's Graveyard, is a village located 10 hours eastward via Earth Dragon from Roswell's mansion, and borders a mountain range splitting Kremaldy from the snowier Elior Forest. Speaking of forest, the Sanctuary is located inside one by the name of the Lost Woods of Kremaldy, its namesake taking reference to the disorienting effects of the forest barrier. Now, about the barrier, what is up with it? What makes it so special? Well, any halves who stray near have their consciousness fade and feel as if their existence itself is being disturbed. Once crossed, they, or at least their consciousness, becomes trapped within it forever. What this means is that even if someone were to carry an unconscious half through the barrier, they would remain a husk, not dissimilar to the Sleeping Beauty disease inflicted by gluttony of the witch cult. The way the barrier determines if you are able to cross through it without repercussions is by checking the blood of those who enter its vicinity. As mentioned before, the forest surrounding the village's nickname, the Lost Woods of Kremaldy, definitely isn't just for appearance either. Those who are not permitted to enter the Sanctuary are fated to become unable to find their way by the barrier's doing. Now, how did this odd barrier come about though? Who or what spawned it here? What was its purpose? Well, this magical blockade was, like the Sanctuary itself, created over 400 years ago by none other than Echidna, the Witch of Greed. On the outside, she established the Sanctuary as a place where demi-humans could live without fear of the outside world, since in the past, their race was treated unfairly and victimized. Echidna assured them they would be out of harm's way and convinced them to lend her their mana to create and support the barrier. As time passed, she continued researching means of immortality via soul transference into a body not of her own. Throughout the years, she gathered more and more humans and demi-humans alike into this small plot of land, leading to the inception of what she dubbed the Sanctuary. Alas, this Sanctuary was only a front, with the citizens soon realizing their haven was nothing more than a clever trap. As it turns out, this witch was, for unknown reasons, being targeted by Hector, the Warlock of Melancholy. In reality, Echidna was attempting to create this barrier to act as protection against this supremely powerful enemy. Eventually, her fear had become realized, and there Hector was, on the outskirts of the village, slowly closing in on our witch far too soon than she had hoped. The barrier was not yet ready. She required more mana, and more time for Ryuzu's ode to become accustomed to the environment. In disparity, a 16-year-old Roswell faced off against Hector, but was, of course, brutally beaten down. Before he was killed outright, Echidna also arrived to fight her arch-enemy. Luckily, this gave Ryuzu Mare enough time to convince herself to courageously sacrifice her body to merge with the high-grade magic crystal, thus, to Beatrice's dismay, becoming the barrier's core activating it at last. The battle of the witch and the warlock's outcome is still undetermined, but it's safe to say Echidna managed to survive at the very least, while Hector's fate is still left as an unknown. Now, seemingly safe at last, she could finally begin her quest for immortality. In her pursuit, she forged countless copies of Ryuzu to experiment with. After the deaths of Typhon, Minerva, Daphne, Carmilla, and Sekhmet, Echidna later collected their souls and returned to the Sanctuary, where Volcanica sealed her off in her tomb as a deterrent to the Witch of Envy. It is said all 6 witches eventually met their end by the hands of Satella, though their souls still remain in Echidna's tomb. After this event, the copies of Ryuzu began administering the Sanctuary, and the Roswell family chose to protect the cemetery for several generations. Many years later, Roswell L. Mathers took in Garfield's family and gave them a home in the Sanctuary. Frederica and Garfield's mother left the two behind in search of her missing husband. Or at least that's what was supposed to happen. On her way out, she perished in a landslide, leaving the 2 siblings alone. When Garf was around 4 years old, Frederica managed to escape the Sanctuary, but unfortunately, even after 10 years, young Gar was never able to overcome the trauma the trials bestowed upon him. He became deathly scared of the outside world, steeling himself to protect the Sanctuary instead. After Garfield's trial, Ryuzu Shima attempted to free the boy, but was also thrown into the past as well. For the first and only time ever, one of the Ryuzus were able to experience their predecessor's memories. Eventually, Roswell returned to complete the trials himself in an apparent attempt to free the demi-humans, since the era when they required such a place had long since passed, but was denied, culminating in a terribly injured body. This, at long last, ends our history lesson and brings us to the appearance of Natsuki Subaru, who, upon entering through the barrier, was transported and baited to Echidna's tomb. As mentioned before, this was Echidna's final resting place, but to even catch a glimpse of her preserved body, one must first complete every one of the 3 witches' trials. To even begin attempting them, it must be night. Miasma bars entry to anyone not qualified to partake in the trial. More importantly, you must either be a half-blood or have direct permission from Echidna herself. As seen with Roswell earlier, if anyone unworthy enters, they suffer harmful yet differing effects, ranging from pounding headaches, vomiting, and what I'm assuming is actual cuts, slashes, or bruises based on Ross's bandages. The effects are scaled higher or lower, depending on the talent of the one being denied. This is perfectly exemplified in how Subaru was able to stay long enough to write dozens of good luck messages to Emilia on the temple's walls. This isn't to say he wasn't in immense pain during it, just nowhere near as bad as Roswell was. Well, now that we have the conditions, what exactly are the trials? First off, face your past. The trial taker hears themselves say those words as they lose control of their body and suddenly snap into a moment of their past. The first test is completed if they are able to find the courage necessary to part with their greatest regret by accepting or rejecting their past. See the unimaginable present. This time, the trial taker sees a glimpse of themselves living a different life, and is completed once they are able to decide to choose reality over the dream. Face the impending disaster. Upon beginning the final trial, one is shown countless probable futures they could experience. This third obstacle is finished once they decide to keep living and moving forward, even knowing that a tragic future is awaiting them. With the final trial behind them, the trial taker awakens to see the once locked door in the temple now ajar, revealing an entryway into the heart of the building, Echidna's final resting place. Once Emilia discovered her, she witnessed a complex yet masterfully crafted array of magic withholding the barrier, basking the room in a cobalt glow. To draw this artificial phenomenon to a close, Emilia destroyed the, ironically, quite fragile spell. At this point, the barrier was now only clinging on thanks to the body of Ryuzu Mare. Which brings us to Echidna's facility. The laboratory, or facility, is a building camouflaged in overgrown greenery, and is hidden away deeper inside the woods. Despite the dull outward appearance it takes on, this building is created with a strange material that does not wear or tear from the elements, and a strange odor exudes from the structure. Inside, through the initial small hallway, lays an entryway, and through that entryway is the laboratory. Dissimilar to its drab look on the outside, this room is blindingly bright, cloaked in a color akin to that of the graveyard's glow. A thick layer of fog is usually seen enveloping the room, and beyond that is a high-grade magic crystal containing the barrier's core. Ryuzu Mare. This very location is where the Witch of Greed once practiced soul transference in hopes of uncovering the path to immortality. She even made multiple clones of Ryuzu and replicated her memories and knowledge into a few copies. However, her experiments was never completed since she was supposedly killed by Satella. With her gone, the 4 main copies took on the role as managers of sorts to keep watch on the Sanctuary. Though all of them share the same first name, each has a different last name to provide some individuality between the copies. Those copies being Arma, Bilma, Shima, and Delma. Though, as for Shima, after saving Gar from the Sanctuary and partaking in the trial, it's meant she had broken her contract with Echidna. As punishment, Shima was duly stripped from her position as overseer and made to live with the other mindless clones in the forest, donning the white robe as a result. Since they were created with an artificial ode that is surrounded and wrapped in mana, the 4 spirits are forced to change places with one another until they reach their daily limits. This cycle continued for roughly 400 years. By this point, the once brightly colored, flourishing, and well-kept sanctuary could no longer be called by that name. This decrepit, overgrown village, like its people, was just barely hanging on, with the assistance of Roswell's infrequent visits. This residency area contained 20 or so buildings that are mostly dilapidated and in dire need of care. To survive, its demi-human denizens mostly farmed as a way to maintain sustenance, and is how they spend the majority of their time. When not farming, they would most likely be praying in the cathedral with the hope of someone saving them from this witch's prison. Which, well, someone eventually did. In the present, as it currently stands, the clearing in the lost woods of Kremaldy is all but abandoned. This relic now left to rot and rust for eternity, representing an era of entrapment at last concluding. Well, friends, that's pretty much it. I didn't want to do too big of a project for my first delving into a geography is everything vid, as taken from Tekking. But yeah, I think I like this style of video. I want to do more in the future, but as for ReZero, I'm not really sure if there's too much more to do. I mean, actually, that's a lie. That's straight up a lie. I don't know why I said that. Every single one of the 4 kingdoms I could do, the 4 countries I mean, and there's like every single location in ReZero. Look at this map. Yes, there was a map for ReZero. There's an official map for ReZero, but it kind of sucks. This one is just way more in-depth and cool. Just look at it. It's cool. They even have another version of it that makes it look like it's from the actual time it'd be from. Like an olden style map. Isn't that sick? If you have any suggestions for a geography is everything video, then leave them down below. I'm down for doing like pretty much any series. I don't care what I'll do. I'm listening to an Overlord audiobook right now. Actually, it's a fan-made one. It's on YouTube. I think the channel name is actually called Overlord Audiobooks. Yeah, the channel name Overlord Audiobooks. Check them out. It's such a high quality audio. Like, I sound like I'm being sponsored by them right now, but it's actually just such a nice high quality audiobook. I just downloaded it, and every time I walk to work now, I just put that audiobook on, 30 minutes. I get 30 minutes of content shot into my brain. Yeah, anyway though, we'll see. Leave any suggestions in the comments like I said, and I will see everyone here hopefully next time. See you later guys, have a good one. Peace.